man. I'm telling you, listen, man, it's real. And Mo, man, listen, Sunday, man, you blessed our church, man, by we actually brought Holla at Me to Power City this past Sunday, and it was phenomenal. We talked about what makes a man, and just really spoke to the power of being a man and being a father. We just really had a great conversation. For me, I just facilitated the conversation. I didn't have a lot to say. I sat back and took notes. But hey, Mo, man, how was it for you Sunday, man?
Oh man, it was so powerful. I mean, Dr. Waters just blew me away. Man, it was the audience, the congregation. I mean, it was just really, really powerful, and it gives me a great feeling to know that as a family of community, we're coming back together.
Wow. So what was some of your take? Like, what did you feel like you took from Sunday? Like some of your, some of the things, some of the nuggets you may have gave us, and or some of the knowledge you spit to us, or just some of the nuggets that you feel like you captured.
I did a lot of talking, but I also did a lot of listening. And so I listened to some of the congregants when they mentioned, what do you do when you have someone who is you're involved with, and he's not a part of your children's lives, but he claims to love you, right? So I listened very tentatively when the sister was talking. I listened to her, and what do you do when you have a father who thinks that just paying child support is enough?
Wow.
So I listened to them word for word, because I know that they're not just speaking for themselves, they're speaking for thousands of women across this country.
Wow. Wow. And I'm blessed. I mean, this is not the topic we're gonna really deal with today, but I'm telling you, I'm still speechless. I mean, to have you, I mean, for somebody to floor Dr. Walter, and that's not easily done. I mean, he's not somebody that's easily impressed. I mean, he was like, I want to work with this guy. I mean, this guy, I mean, man, I don't know. Man, you are valuable. I ain't letting you go.
Let me just say that there's a reason why we on Holy Hill. Ready?
The reason behind the reason.
There's a reason we are on Holy Hill.
Wow.
For Dr. Walters to say that he want to work with me, I'm so blessed. I mean, that's the highest compliment. But also, I just want to say thank you to you for allowing me to be part of the Ohio community and being able to be part of this platform. And again, like there's power in words. I mean, think about that. Holy Hill.
Wow. Wow.
Radio. Radio means communication. Holy Hills Communication.
Wow. Here you started already, huh?
Oh, brother! Every time we get together, you bring it out me.
Man, I mean, I do have a topic, man, that I really want to deal with today. And I mean, again, everybody that I spoke to, all the feedback I got, I kind of hung around for about an hour after service, kind of talking to people and just asking what they thought about Holla at Me coming on at church and kind of missing out on that traditional Father's Day type message, in which I could have went full throttle. I mean, I had it in me, but I just felt led to have a panel and just a discussion with the audience, and also get some feedback. And growing up in ministry, I mean, I think I've been in church, or I've been saved, doing ministry for almost 15, 20 years. And I've never been in a service, especially on Sunday morning, where something like this was done. I didn't do it for that, but this was like the first time I ever seen it done. And then have somebody call in from a whole nother state. I mean, you're at least 12, 1,300 miles away from us, and you were there and listening and responding, and Dr. Walter, and just even the feedback from the audience, and we just kicked it. People were inspired. Some people got up and cried and walked out and had to come back in. I mean, lives were really, really touched. So I can see us doing that again in the near future. We did hitch real briefly, um, you know, at this past Sunday on the whole South Carolina piece. And I know you've been following that. I've been watching CNN, and NSNBC, and read some things online, because it really, really, really touched my heart on several fronts at what happened last week in South Carolina, and just all the things that the response and the unity and things that are happening, and the call from Governor Nikki Haley calls, for the removal of the Confederate flag from the state capitol. It all these different things are happening. The premeditation, if you will, and then even the racism that's still in the air. Not with all people, but this guy to me made it apparent that there are heavy talks, behind the scenes, if you will, with groups of people about how they feel about the African American community, at if you will. And so I don't know what your thoughts are around this, but I just want to spark some conversation, and maybe you can lay a backdrop just in case people really haven't been following carefully on what's been happening in South Carolina.
Oh man, why you do this? Because I'm gonna tell you.
Hold up, before you go on, let me say this. In light of all of the different things that happened in Baltimore, what happened in South Carolina, I think Gray, I'm sorry.
Freddie Gray was Baltimore.
Yeah, Freddie Gray, then the guy Walter Scott, excuse me, Walter Scott. What happened in Sandy with all of the children. There was word that some other things happened in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Some happened in Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was all all this is happening like bam, bam, bam. The whole Trayvon Martin, the Mike, and the what's up in Montgomery over there in by St. Louis. I mean, you got a lot of stuff is happening, and I don't know. I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just thinking about all those different things, and then now we have somebody we've been speculating, or not speculating, but people have been saying, hey, a lot of these things that are happening is racism. I mean, even the link that you sent me that happened here in Fairfield, Ohio, with the little girls that got dragged, pretty much slammed and to the ground by the police officer and really treated real roughly at a swimming pool because they refused to leave. What happened just recently in Texas. A lot of things are happening, and people are saying, not everybody, but a lot of people are saying, hey, this is racism is involved. And so when I look at this guy, I think his name was Ruff, last name was Ruff.
Right.
He pretty much said that that, hey, I was coming to kill some black people.
Mm-hmm.
So, Maurice, I didn't mean to cut you. I just had to try to lay just a little bit more backdrop on it.
I'm gonna tell you, Charleston was my breaking point, right? And when I say my breaking point, I Charleston was the one where I just lost it. And I even said on a blog, because like maybe a few days ago, there was an image of African Americans, Latinos, Caucasian, everybody on one of the bridges in Charleston, hugging each other and arm in arm. And at that point, I just broke, and I'm like, why is it that we are always being asked to be people? Why must we always be the ones who hug it out? Why must we be the ones
Wow.
who be told that, love your fellow brother or sister? Why are we the ones who are always being told turn the other cheek? And only to get slapped or hit on the other side of your face, get hit upside the head. And then we're still told to continue to love our neighbor. So why are we the ones who are continuing to be told this, right? And so, the frustration and the hurt just kind of boiled out of me with Charleston, because, I grew up in the church. I may have went astray at a time, but I was raised in the church. And so for anyone who was raised in the church, this church is very sacred, especially for us people of color. Church is very sacred. And so, for this young man to go into, the Lord's house and to commit these acts of devil worship, it's man, is there nothing? There's no boundary. And so, like I said, at that point, I was just really broken and frustrated, and to that tipping point, I don't care who hears what I have to say, but I'm going to let it be known. Enough is enough. Come on, all of this, and people, and I'm gonna be honest, I was very conflicted, because on one side of my brain, I'm hearing, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. But I'm also hearing on the other side of my brain, eye for eye. And when I shared that with a few people, they said, Mo, I was feeling the exact same conflict. And I'm like, wow. And so, at this point, like I said, and the young man said, the guy said that he was out to kill black people. But guess what? And if you dissect it, it goes to show you who we are. He said he sat there with them for an hour, and because they were so nice, he almost didn't go through with it. So everything that he was indoctrinated, all the hate that he was indoctrinated with, right? He almost did not go through with it because he saw God in them.
Wow. Wow.
And so I also said, I posted up on Facebook, how great of a life, it must be such an honor to be able to do the Lord's work in such a way that people want to make you a martyr.
Wow. Man, when I saw it, I was speechless. And it pushed some buttons. I'm not even gonna lie. And I understand certain scriptures, the whole vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, and I will repay. But it pushed me to go hard. It pushed me to take advantage of every moment and not waste moments in my life. It made me think about all of my, the pastors I know, pastors I don't know, and leaders that I know just throughout the country and the world, and that are doing the Lord's work and beyond, beyond the church walls. Because I strongly believe that the Lord's work don't stop at church. I think Youth Build is a place where the Lord's work is being done. But however, I'm looking at this, Mo, and I'm thinking about like the mindset of what's going on with pastors. And I want to connect with some pastors that I know and others. In fact, there were some pastors that jumped on some conference calls. I mean, there was a lot of pastors talking about, security at their churches, whether large or small. And because this isn't the first time somebody walked into a building and, start shooting. I mean, there's several other cases that's known for this type of violence to happen. And to me, part of what the devil was trying to do, because I gotta go spiritual a little bit, was trying to scare the people in one sense. I believe is trying to put fear in us. And I think the unity strengthened us. Saying, no, we don't, that's not going to cause us to not serve the Lord and give God glory and do his will. However, it also made people aware that we're in a real spiritual, socio-economical warfare. Meaning there is an attack on the saints, attack on the people that the believers, and attack on the kingdom of God. Because if I can cause you to fear, then that's going to buy time for you not to use your faith.
That's right.
The less you use your faith, the less manifestation. The more you use your faith, the more manifestation. So when I look at 9 people, and then the pastor was a senator, state senator, seemed like a good man, seemed like he was really about his community, seemed like he was an up and coming leader, not only just in that area, but nationally and even a global leader. Young guy, I think he was 40, 38, 40?
Yeah.
Yeah, 32? He was 32?
32.
Oh, no, I thought he was about 40. But anyway, so I'm looking at this like you drive 2 hours out of your way, to go to a specific church, and there's 9 people. Now, I'm not an investigator or anything like that. I'm just looking at TV like everybody else and watching, trying to sift through CNN and all those stations, sift through to what I really believe is happening. But something it was something more to it to me, Mo, than just coming to a church and shooting 9 people. Because I just believe 2 hour from where he came from, 2 hour, 2.5, 2 hour drive, wherever it was, there had to be at least 50 other churches he passed.
Oh, well, he said he was intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, he said it was because he wrote a 2,500 word manifesto, and he said it was intentional because Mother Emanuel was one of the oldest, if not the oldest, AME church in that area, and that and he knew about Dimlock Bessie, who was one of the founders of Mother Emanuel, and so also that Charleston, according to him, he did it from his research, that African Americans outnumbered whites at a time in Charleston. And so he knew the historical concept and impact that going there would have.
Wow. Yeah. So all of this is happening, man, and it's like you said, in one hand, you like, the vengeance is the Lord. On another hand, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. I mean, I'm gonna stand on the vengeance is mindset, the Lord's side, but I do think there's things we can do. But at the same time, my question or my thought is, in terms of, I gotta say it, it's me. This is Mike Dean. I'm gonna be who I am. And people can take it how they want to take it, but is I don't know if racism gonna ever stop. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody is racist. I mean, you have great people that you and I both know, but there are people out there that just don't like people of color, and they feel like this land is their land, and other things.
Can I just interject real quick, Mike?
Please.
But I'm gonna tell you, there's a fear, right? And I was having this conversation with this community activist just the other day. That there's a fear amongst within the Caucasian community, right? There's a fear that people of color are going to erase them and all of their impact and all of their accomplishments, right? And so people say, oh, well, that's conspiracy. But if you really look at it, like, okay, so, all of the surveys and studies say that by 2020, people of color will be the majority and Caucasians will be the minority. Well, for over, let's say, so for what, 300 years, 350, 400 years, it was just the opposite. And so now you're telling me that I was once in power based on skin complexion, which gave me privilege, right? And when I looked in the media, I looked at television, I saw faces that looked like me. And slowly but surely, that's being erased, right? So let's take golf, for example, right? We were always told that golf is the white man's sport because it's a thinking man's sport. And then here comes Eldridge Tiger Woods. And he turned the game upside down. Right now, and I think there are about 5 brothers who are playing in the NHL. And they're good. They're really good, right? And so, like, tennis, take tennis for another example. There was a time when, we, according to them, we didn't have what it took to be stars in tennis. And then here come these 2 little girls from Compton, no less, who said that they used to have to step over crack valves on the public course to practice with their dad. And they turned the sport of tennis upside down. And so, and then you look into the Fortune 500 companies. No, there's not a lot of us, but those of us who are there are making ridiculous impact, right? And so now, just the other day, NBC announced that Lester Holt, an African-American man, will now be the face of the nightly news. You know how impactful that is? And so I think that not for the 1%ers, right, but for the average Joe, the working class, and the poor Caucasian community, for them, they're terrified. And the Ruth kid, he spoke about that. He spoke about how he felt that we were erasing Caucasians. And though he spoke about it and acted on it, there are a lot of them in pockets across this country who feel that way, right? When you look at multiracial couples creating, creating multiracial babies, right? And so, like, the Klan always talked about segregation, right? Segregating the classes out of fear that, their white women would get together with blacks and make black children, which would, in their mind, erase the white race.
And just in case you just tuned in, and more, I'm gonna move out the way because you're still rolling. But we're talking about the groups of people that believe that way. Again, this is not everybody. I mean, but there are groups out here that believe, and there has been conversation that's been recorded via, television, via talk shows or whatever, that had these conversations. Maurice?
And so that's what we're experiencing. So, like, take police officers, for example, right? The occupation of law enforcement is a blue collar job. It's a blue collar occupation, which means that, they are a paycheck away. They are a paycheck away from being homeless as well, right? Because if they lose their job and they can't make the mortgage, now their families are homeless as well. So, like, I think what we have is a lot of fear, right? A lot of fear of being replaced. So if my last name was Fitzgerald, right? And my grandfather and my father and, my brothers and my cousins, all of us were in the police department. And the O'Malleys and the O'Reillys, right, are our neighbors. Now, all of a sudden, we now have a Lieutenant Chavez. We have a Captain Jackson. We have an Inspector Johnson who happens to be of color. Now, like, whoa, what's going on here? And so, again, out of fear that we're going to be replaced, they're acting on it because they don't know how to react. So that fear is causing them to have a mental breakdown.
It's just sad. I mean, it's a sad thing that's happening here. It's very, very sad, and really it's tough to stomach. I mean, I really, it's like, wow, these are things that what you kind of seen in movies, it's really reality, and I mean, and then you got this whole Confederate flag piece. You got, all of the other flags will have staff, but then the Confederate flag in certain areas, still hung high. And I'm looking like, okay, what are you saying here? You know what I mean? And then just, how the guy got treated when he got caught. To me, he got handled with the utmost care. I just seeing how other people got treated when things like this happen, or even lesser things like the swimming pool party. I mean, you seen what the cop did to the little girl, and I mean, it is. I think,
and she wasn't even convicted of anything.
No,
she was allegedly a uninvited participant at a pool party, right? And she got knees in her back and all of those things. He, on the other hand, was, allegedly, right? Because we got to say allegedly into the conviction. Allegedly killed 9 people by his own admission. And it just came out today that the police officers that he was in their care actually took him to Burger King.
Say that again.
So the police officers who he was in their care.
Who's he?
Ruth. So when they were taking him, when they arrested him, right, and before on the way to the police precinct or police department, right, they stopped off at Burger King and bought him a meal. Now, I'm going to just tell the audience a little bit about me. I sold a little bit of heroin back in the day. And I was arrested twice for selling heroin. Never killed anybody, sold some heroin. And I never had a police officer take me to McDonald's or Burger King or any other place except for the jail.
Wow.
Your response right now is exactly how the majority of us are feeling.
Because it not what it don't do to me is it doesn't breed hate. Like I don't feel like hate isn't in my equation. But I don't know exactly what needs to be done. But something has to be done. And justice has to be served. I think that's number one. I think he has to get tried like anybody else will get tried. I 9 people, you admitted it, you're on camera. It's no way you can get off, and then your bond is $1 million. I've known drug dealers.
That's just for the gun.
I've known drug dealers.
Uh-huh.
I've known drug dealers to get that. And probably even more. Your bond is $2 million. Your bond is to kill 9 people, Mo. 9 people, and you can't be more than 20 feet away from them, and you premeditation. You empty your clip about 4 or 5 times,
right?
And you get took in the Burger King.
Oh yeah.
So you get to have it your way.
Have it your way.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to make light of, but that wouldn't have happened to me. And he had a vest. He Brother Ike, you want come on, Brother Ike. Brother Ike, the producer. I know he want to get on, man. Get the mic. This your show. Man, Brother Ike said he had a vest on.
Well, let me just jump in real quick. In terms of that, because I did some research, and if you remember the DC snipers, right? They had vests on as well. So they say that that's protocol for anyone who's charged for those type of crimes, that they put bulletproof vests on. So and so I saw some images of the DC sniper, I forget, Matt Malvo, with a vest on as well. So just take that as you will.
You know what? We ain't going to commercial. Because we got to use all our time on this. I mean, it's just crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. And, Mo, I got a lot of love in my heart but I feel bad for those families.
Yeah.
And when I look at in terms of it coming into a church, I have to look at the congregation that I'm the shepherd over.
That's right.
You know, and we're small, so you know we don't have funds to hire security and things like that. You don't want to be at church with a little army. You know what I mean? You got.
And let me just say, the fact that we even having that, the fact that we even having that debate, that conversation of having armed security at the house of the Lord.
Yeah.
How is that even? How is that conversation even possible? I mean, like, where did we go awry? Where did we go awry that we have to have conversations to say we need armed protection? I thought that we go to the Lord because we say the Lord is our protector. So the fact that we now live in an age where we have to have armed protection, or we even having that conversation, man,
that's crazy.
That's crazy.
And you know, but it's real. You know what I mean? It's real. Like I've watched some of the biggest preachers, and I'm very analytical. Like I study crowds, I study the backdrops, I study everything. I even look at their microphones to see what type of mics they're using. I mean, I'm looking at their floor monitors, their carpet. I'm looking at if I could get a glimpse of the sound guys in the musician box. I mean, I'm studying everything. And then I noticed in some crowds, well, you know, some of those audiences, and I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I've noticed that I've seen people not even paying attention to the preacher. I mean, their eyes is in the crowd. Like, we have to protect our man of God.
That's right.
And that, you know what I mean? That like you said, this is a crazy conversation to have. But when it's proven, and this is not a black thing or white thing, just crazy people or people that feel the need, you know, for one reason or another, to go into the house of the Lord and to shoot somebody. You know, you got baby. It could be anybody in attendance, elderly. You got kids, and you know, all kind of families. You know, and people just feel that need. And so now I'm looking like, wow, I have to have my ushers really pay attention. I have to have, you know, people that are in, no matter, since we're a small church, everybody got to pay attention. You can't just focus on the word and get a word from the Lord and go home and feel rejuvenated, energized, delivered whatever you received that day. Now you like, okay, that's an unfamiliar face. He don't look like he's really focused. You know what I mean? Let's keep an eye on him. Why we got to have surveillance at church? So that takes me back to the attack on the house of the Lord or on the kingdom of God. And so my prayer today, part of my prayer has been that God keep us covered, keep us strengthened, you know, give us influence, bring us together to be a strong voice to speak to our political leaders, a strong voice to speak to our communities, to wake up and to see what's really happening. You know, man, I'm going out to the hood tomorrow, and you know, and I'm going to talk to some of the homies on the block. Because to me, like stuff like this, the dope dealers don't really care about all like that. Not everybody, but you know, till it hit your home, a lot of people don't talk about stuff like this until it hit their home. I mean, some people I spoke to, yeah, that's bad. But me, it hit a nerve.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because I know how I feel to lose a loved one, but then to lose a loved one like that. Now,
right.
Now somebody can reverse it on me, say, at least they died praising God. You know, no, man, they got murdered. Assassinated. So man, Mo, I'm just rambling at this point. I don't even really.
On point. You're on point, brother. You're on point. And and so I want to just take it to the NRA,
Okay.
National Rifle Association, and let me just say, I am by no means anti-Second Amendment. That's not who I am. I'm not anti-Second Amendment. I'm not anti, gun. However, I think that the National Rifle Association has become so powerful that you can pretty much turn a national government on its head. I mean, think about that. And I want you to think about the visual, not just, I want you to really think about the visual. The National Rifle Association has the power, has so much power that it's been able to turn the national government on its head and say, you will not do this. We will allow you to do that. You will not do this. Right? We had Sandy Hook. 20 people, mostly children. Children. First graders, second graders were slaughtered, assassinated. And the National Rifle Association pretty much all of that, all what people were feeling, right? And were calling their local officials, saying, listen, something has to be done. And the National Rifle Association put an end to it. Now, you think about that. How much power must you have that you can put an end to reform, even the conversation of reform, after 20 people are killed, mostly first and second grade? That's a lot of power.
Well, that's a lot of money.
And that's what I'm talking about when I say power.
Yeah, I just want people to know that. Yeah. Somebody getting paid.
That's a lot of power. That's a lot of clout.
Mo, somebody getting paid. That's what ticks me off. Because when it's only time real change happens, for the most part, like this, in my opinion, if it happened in their house. Let something like this happen in people that have a vested interest to somebody in their family, depending on how close they are, depending on how much, how much they into the, I don't know the people personally, but obviously if we can't make changes because you're not, you have this much power to stop laws from being passed, even, it's the almighty dollar. But I'm glad our president is speaking up against it, saying we need to have this conversation and we need something done. Because it's horrible. It's horrible. And like you said, the whole Second Amendment piece, I'm conflicted. I am. Because like President Obama said, he said in all the other developed countries, if you will, we're the only country that's developed, that the modern country that's developed, that's having this problem. I was floored by that comment. He said, you go to other countries, I'm paraphrasing, that's developed like our country is, you're not having this problem. Why? Because they have laws in place to protect all their citizens, whether poor, middle class, or rich. It doesn't matter. They want to protect their people. No,
and that's the thing. And so, like, you have traditionalists versus progressive, right? and progressives are the people who feel like, over time, life evolves and that we need to evolve as life evolves. Traditionalists are the folks who feel that, we need to hold on to our core values as, the founding fathers. And my take on it is that those founding fathers did not have a community in mind. There were certain communities that the founding fathers of this country did not have in mind. And that's not a racist statement. That's a factual statement. Washington and Hamilton and all these folks, they did not have the Native American in mind. They didn't have the African brought to America in mind. So when traditionalists talk about holding on to those core traditional values, what you're really saying is that you want to stay in power.
Wow. And for me, I don't claim to cross all my T's and dot all my I's. I wish I would have went to school a little longer, but I'm not afraid to have these conversations. I'm not afraid. I don't care. I'm not afraid. We can sit up here and we could have prayed the whole time. My assignment is to talk about it and to get people thinking and to spark interest in certain things that we don't really deal with. Because when it happens at your house, your community, then you're gonna want something done. Just here in Columbus, about a week ago or so, it was pretty much a massacre that happened here. I want to say 4 people got gunned down in a house. Now I don't know all the particulars, but 4 people, like people are, it's crazy. And I can't imagine what's happening in New York in terms of this type of violence. But our lives matter. Our life. I want to live out my full potential. I want to die because somebody is having a bad day or feeling a certain way about, they don't even know me. You know what I mean? You don't even know me. It's like, okay, I don't like you because you're this color. Think about that. Think about that. Some of my best friends are Caucasian, Hispanic. I look at as brothers and sisters, and I have good friends from all walks of life, and to hear this and to know them, it's like, wow, we got a chance to know each other. We look past color. We look past race and all those sorts of things, and we found common ground, which is love.
There you go.
Love.
There you go.
Love, perfect love, cast out all fear. That's why we're able to come together and say, just because you got 9 of us don't mean we're going to be reduced. That's what I love about it. People saying we're not going to be reduced to your hatred. Now, don't get me wrong. There may be some people out there ending up and wanting to go out there and do some retaliation and things. But far as what I'm seeing so far on the media and social media and things like that, people are coming together and really it's making us focus. It's making us focus on real issues. And it's time. We watching all kind of things. Look, let's get to the real issues. Let's deal with them. Let's not just have conversations, but let's deal with them. And even if they don't pass the gun laws, even if they don't take the Confederate flag down, we stood together. Black people, white people, Hispanic people, we stood together and we said we want this down. No matter where you came from another country, we're saying we want this down and we want it down now. And if it don't get passed, people gonna still fight and say we're gonna go to the Supreme, whatever we gotta do, we're gonna get it taken down. And I declare that today, because this ain't Willie Lynch, this ain't Jim Crow. And I know Michelle Alexander wrote a wonderful book called The New Jim Crow, talking about the whole prison system. That's a whole nother episode. But man, Mo, you know what I mean? Like, and once I'm heated, but then I'm excited to see how we respond to all of these situations. It's like, wow, okay. So people, it's like you playing chess. You come at me one way, the way you expected me to return fire is not the way I am going to do it. We're going to mourn for these people. We're going to stand up for their rights, which we're standing for everybody's rights that come behind them. And I just want to say, God bless those families. And I just pray God's strength on those families. I pray, God touch the minds of people that may be feeling the way Ruth is feeling now, to put down their weapons, to change their thoughts, that everything the enemy is trying to do to cause them to continue to hate when there's really no reason to hate. We have a devil to fight. And okay, I feel like preaching now. We got a devil. We got enough going on to where Mo, I don't know.
And let me just say that this is the perfect segue for what we're doing in terms of the fatherhood, the parent initiative. This is where parents can engage their children. Fathers, if you don't have the type of relationship that you would like to have with your children, then use this platform to engage your children in dialogue. Mom, encourage those fathers to have these conversations. Call a family meeting. It doesn't mean that you got to live under the same roof, but call a family meeting. Let's break bread. Let's talk about what's going on. So how do you feel about this, little Kareem? Big Kareem, how do you feel about this? Mom, how do you feel about this? Talk about it. Allow this to unify us as a family and as a community.
Wow. I know we didn't open up the phone lines today. This was just, it's too much, man. It's a lot. And I know people got a lot of things going on in their own lives. I got my own bills. I got my own set of problems. But you missing the big picture if you're looking at this situation, in situations like this, and saying, I got my own problems to deal with. Yes, you do. But you can't look past what's happening in reality. Like we named, there's names we missed, like Tamar Rice up in Cleveland. There's so many others that, and then
so I'm just gonna mention a few off the top of my head.
Go ahead, please.
Oscar Grant, Sean Bell, Patrick Desmond, Diallo, Amadou Diallo, Crawford, Mike Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we talked about Trayvon Martin.
Yes.
Freddie Gray.
Yep.
Eleanor Bumper.
Yep. Because
we can't forget about our women.
Yes.
We've had a lot of women.
Yes.
Renisha McBride.
Yep.
So, and those are just a few in the last 20 years.
Wow.
And so, as for our audience who say, well, I got to worry about my life. I got to worry about, what's going on, keeping the lights on, and we totally get that. We totally get it. But we also need more of us to participate in the uprising of our community. And when I say uprising, we're not talking about going out there and riding. No, we're talking about uprising in terms of turning over the soil so that we can bear the sweetest of fruit of our community.
Wow. Wow. I, as we digress, and I I can't stay on that much longer talking about this because I've been holding back tears the whole time. Because it's sad, and somebody's grandmother that had plans to be at the next family reunion, then die of cancer. She probably felt like this was her last. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I got many more years in me, baby. So I'll make sure I'm at this. I'm gonna make you a sweet potato pie. Just I'm thinking about stuff my aunts and people that I need to go see more often and call more often. And I repent on air for those of my elders I really haven't been in contact with, because stuff like this make me think about that. Family members I don't see that often. Family members and others that I just haven't been engaged with. I don't feel like I'm the devil or nothing, but times like this just make me think about my Aunt Hattie. That's 85 years old. My Aunt Janie that just turned 81, 82 years old. My Uncle Ronald, 71. Uncle Gerald, Uncle Shug, Aunt Loretta, Mother Caldwell, Mother Randall, just so many people I can name that's in their 70s, 80s, that's saying, we're about to go. We have this torch to pass, and I hope y'all really understand what y'all about the weight y'all gonna have to really bear without us. Because we do have a weight to bear.
That's right.
And Mo, man, you don't know how much I love you and appreciate you, man, because you bring it into perspective on the issues that we deal with and are talking about and discussing. Man, but I'm sticking with the leave no father behind, and this is one of the reasons.
Because as the fathers go, so goes the family.
So goes the family, so goes the community.
That's it. And that's exactly it. And so it starts with the father being able to be the leader of that family so that they can take those values inside the home and carry those values outside the home. So that a little Maurice, so if Big Mo do what Big Mo needs to do and instill those values, and Big Mo's wife supports him and encourage those values, and so now little Maurice goes outside the home, and when one of his friends are conflicted with the peer pressure, and little Maurice whispers in his ear, you really don't have to do this, right? And now little Johnny say, you know what? When little Maurice says, all right, come on, Johnny, let's blow this joint. And Johnny walks away. And then Johnny becomes stronger. And so now our community is stronger. And because our community is stronger, humanity is stronger.
Wow. And one thing we didn't deal with in this, because there's so many elements. If I said we'll be here another hour, um, but I was just like floored when, and I'm paraphrasing, that he was pretty much trying to spark a racial war. Man, we had a lot of blood was shed on that soil. A lot of lives have been lost on this soil for for equal rights um, and for the free for slavery to be abolished. Man, we don't got time, man. We got and just as Americans, with all these other groups outside of what's happening internally, like, I know the government is like, man, we don't want to have to worry about this type of thing when we got, like the Taliban and things like that. They constantly are watching, and what I mean, all like this different groups like that, ISIS and all those groups, and then now you got something like this. It's too much confusion. So my prayer, man, and my hope is that God gives the family comfort, that the community rallies around them, that we learn from this. And just like the Bible says with David, and David behaved himself wisely. And Miles Monroe said, there's three things in life that we need to have. He said, there's information, there's knowledge, and there's wisdom. He said, knowledge. Man, I'm trying my best not to.
Let it go, brother. It's all good. Let it go. That's what we're about. We're all about healing.
And it's sad, man. But but knowledge is understanding. Well, wisdom. I'm just so messed up. I don't even know I'm supposed to say it. And yeah, wisdom is knowledge applied, and long as we get the knowledge, like what you giving us, Mo, the education, like you and Dr. Walters and many others bring on the set, we're not here saying we know it all. I had somebody made a comment that I low key heard what the person was saying. I was like, okay. But my thing is this: let's have the conversations.
That's right.
The Bible talks about the age. Let the age. I call the young because they strong, but I call the old because they know the way. So when you looking at our elders, we got to learn everything we can from them before we become elders.
That's right.
Because it's transferring as we speak. I'm sorry. It's transferring as we speak. We are becoming elders each and every day. Somebody is becoming an elder in their family every day. Somebody have to take that mantle. And you know what? I'm willing to take it on. I don't know where it's going to lead me, but I'm in this for the long haul, for the betterment of our communities, the betterment of the whole justice piece. I'm constantly going to disagree with injustice. I'm constantly going to disagree with all those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, when I lay my head down and I go to sleep, I want to be able to say that day I did all I could do to be the best me I can be. And being the best me I can be means a lot of things to me. I don't know about to you on air, But to me, like TD Jake said, Bishop Jake said, why be a cheap copy
Mm.
when you can be a great original?
Mm. And I just want to say to all of the brothers, I want to say to them, regardless of your age, if you run across an older brother and they can show you the way, don't let your pride, don't let your pride blind you to the fact that you should sit at their feet. I'm 43 years old, and I take pride in sitting at the feet of my elders at 43. I love sitting at the feet of the elders.
Wow.
Because that's where I get my fountain of knowledge from. I don't have to try to reinvent anything. All I have to do is close my mouth and open my ears and open my heart. Humbleness.
Wow.
Humbleness. And that's what we need. We need more brothers to humble themselves to sit at the feet of the elders. Because guess what? As you sit at the feet of the elders, there's going to be young brothers who are going to need to sit at your feet. And if they're sitting at your feet and you don't have nothing to give them, we in trouble.
Wow. You know what I did on Father's Day? You know what I did on Father's Day? After I left church, kind of went home for a minute. And one of the young brothers that I know, young guy, lost his father to violence several years ago. And I said, I'm going to go see and just hang out with him. He was hanging out with his friends, but I wanted just to show my support. Then another young guy I ran into, hung out with him, throwing passes with the basketball, dribbling it. Then I stopped at another family's house with a single mom that got 4 young sons and just hung out with them. Because I'm a seed sower.
That's right.
And like Miles Rose said, I remember now, he said, there's knowledge, and I'm out of here on this, understanding, and there's wisdom. He said knowledge is information. Understanding is knowledge understood, or information understood. But he said wisdom is the principle. Wisdom is knowledge applied. He said if you can get those 3 things down, you can be a powerful person. All my families out there that's listening and hanging out with us tonight, I'm gonna just close out with a prayer. Mo, you got anything to close out with as we digress?
I just want to say, family, we love you, and make sure that you fill your cup with the love of the Lord.
Wow. Father, I just want to say thank you for all that you've done. I want to pray for those families that lost loved ones to acts of violence, families in South Carolina, families in Ohio, families in Texas, all those, just families in general. And I just want to pray for peace. I want to pray for justice, that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I bless you for all that you've done. I bless you for all that you're going to do. Bless our elders to give us the wisdom. Bless us that we receive the wisdom that is being poured out, that we let not one morsel hit the ground. And so as our time comes to become the leaders of our nation and our communities and our families, give us the wisdom to be the leaders that you so destined us to be. And as I conclude my prayer, I pray somebody's out there that's hurting and struggling. And they're hearing this, they believe in it, but they just have so many burdens that's burdening them down. I pray that you give her strength. She's listening to this right now, and she's tired. Her son is locked up, and her brother is locked up. She just lost her loved one. Just whatever it is, the young man that's just sitting there listening, like, man, why me? I got all these kids, and I just can't seem to get things right with my wife and my girlfriend. Father, I just pray for him. Touch Brother Maurice as he moves forward and go higher. Touch Holy Hills radio station. I feel your anointing dropping down on us, God. And I speak blessings. Hallelujah. I speak peace. I speak clarity of vision. I speak love. I speak joy. I speak peace. I speak temperance. I speak long suffering. I speak the power and the unction of the Holy Spirit to dive and to move on our behalf. And so as I conclude this prayer, but not your presence, God, be with us. And we'll forever give you the glory and the honor in Jesus' name. Amen. Listen, I love you guys. Till next time, hey, holla at me.